As we have this session, we have wonderful panel members today. Of course, mostly from the south, but yes, thanks Dr. Anand to be representing a different part of the country. Yeah. So, almost about 0.1 million startups, and out of that, maybe 0.01 million startups are from the healthcare biotech startups that we have in India. And having these past 10, 15 years of journey, the boom of biotechnology is there, but yes, the fruits we started seeing in the past 5, 6 years. Even the pandemic made us to realize how we have to join our hands, all ministries, all incubators like CCAM, CCME, we work together, and many other incubators as well. So here, pandemic triggered us a bit to, I think this is the time to speed up, accelerate, and work more aggressively to reach to the market. But still, there are some challenges, there are some gaps in the ecosystem. I think quickly we can share these things from, hearing from the panel members, what kind of practices that we can adapt, what they have adapted. So there may not be some creative solution, but at least, the experiences, the insights that they are having can be mitigating those risks or minimizing that gestation period. So also, I think, funding, we have seen our partners today from the country as well as the local state government. We may not be focusing much on raising funds for incubators and startups, but majorly focusing on how to minimize the gestation period for the biotech startups. So in this contest, I think, all of the experts you all know, but, I request each of them to introduce themselves and what kind of good works that you're doing at your incubator. Quickly, I think Dr. Balram.
I come from an institute called Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum, which is an autonomous institute of the Department of Science and Technology, which is a very unique institute because we have a hospital and also a biomedical research center working together. And something unique about this institute is that for the last 4 decades, it has been working very closely with industry, trying to develop indigenous biomedical technologies and taking it to market through technology transfer. And this was at a time when startups or the culture of entrepreneurship was not that much developed. And some of the technologies which were developed from the institute lab have become commercially very successful, and some very successful enterprises have benefited from that. So based on that expertise of working with the medical device entrepreneurs, we set up an incubator in 2015, again with the support of Department of Science and Technology, and we thought that all that learnings that we had would help a medical device startup come to the market quickly. So as we all know, this is a very challenging and tough sector. It's not very easy to commercialize because of the nature of the products. The safety and efficacy of these products have to be proven, validated through a very rigorous product development and evaluation cycle. And in all those things, the expertise that the institute has is shared with these entrepreneurs, and that really helps them commercialize faster. So this incubator is called TiMed, and this TiMed incubator supports only medtech startups or broadly healthcare startups, not only those which take the technology from our institute, but also who come with their own ideas. So what is the kind of support that we extend? I will come in the second round. Over to the others. Thanks. Taslim, please.
Almost good evening, everyone. First, thanks for the invite, ISBACON and ISBACON organizing committee. It's great to be here. I think I missed out on being ISBACon for last 5 years because of some conflicts, but great to be here today.
So we just want you to be here this year. Please.
No, it's great to be here. Thank you. This is a great show. The scale is really enormous, and I'm glad that it's going to the scale which is much needed. As the ecosystem is growing, I think this particular platform needs to provide that support to ensure that the structures are built eventually. But coming back to the question, largely, Ramji, so I'm Taslim Arif Syed. I work at CCAM, that is Center for Cellular Molecular Platforms, based out of Bangalore. CCAMP engages in variety of activities to enable deep science research and innovation broadly. So it has multiple arms. One of its arms is actually involved in nurturing deep science innovations as well, where we are attempting to build deep science risky breakthrough ideas and see if we can help them take to the next level, including many efforts to support them through funding, incubation, acceleration, networking, regulatory, preclinical trials, clinical trials as needed in healthcare or other aspects of it. Over last 10 years or 11 years that we have been at it, possibly we were one of the first ones, bio-dedicated effort in that. We have now funded almost 380 to 400 companies, and our overall companies in portfolio is almost, through several programs, is more than 600 to 700. Our 300 odd companies or something where we have funded now almost 90 odd crores through different schemes. We're very happy to share something that Mr. Jeet Vijay just mentioned. Almost 8 to 10 of them are evaluating more than $100 million. So that gives us as directly a capability where we have now 10 companies above $100 million or 8 companies above $100 million, and some are nearly 150 and 200 as well. But all of them are deep science. They are based on a global components of science and technology and solving global problems per se, be it in healthcare, be it in therapeutics, like the companies like Bugworks, be it in agri, companies like C6, be it in stem cells, companies like Pandorum or iStem, be it in, as one would call it, in environment, companies like String Bio. They were all picked up early on at CCAM, and something which we then work with over years without the rule book that usually people were associating in terms of incubation support. We actually possibly wrote our own rule book on how we want to engage with them and work with them to do that. So very happy to share that we have had learnings, we have had failures, and hence we have learnings on how to work with deep science innovations, how to engage with them, and how to ensure that they actually have a little as possible gestation that people talk about biotech. You can't rule it out. You can't make it what exactly it is in the Western countries where the ecosystem is much more mature. But can you do the best in here and then go from there? That has been our effort, and I'm glad that it has been possible due to support from many funding agencies and many other collaborators, both from central funding agencies, including DBT, BIRAC, DST, NSTDB, AIM, NITI Aayog, MIT, and many others, and as well as the local government, the government of Karnataka. Without their support, such platforms, which are enabling platforms, are difficult to build, which are now giving the fruits to the companies which are utilizing that. So these are some of the thoughts I'm happy to share in the next rounds of discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Taslim. Dr. Badlakar.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. My name is Anand Bhadalkar, and first thing first, thanks ISBA for having me here, and it is a privilege to be with this panel here. Introducing the organization, I am an officer of DST, Government of Gujarat, right now on full-time deputation as director of the incubator that has been developed by the state government. So basically an officer of the BioTech Mission Cadre, which was formed in the leadership of the then Honorable Prime Minister, who was then the Chief Minister in 2004. And we started developing biotech sector per se, restructured ourselves in 17, and now we have a biotech university to groom the manpower. Then we have a research center for translational research, take these technologies, build business models around it. So an incubator, then we have a park, a biotechnology park. We have biotech sector-specific venture funds, and then we have a huge biotech policy, a very generous biotech policy. So working across the value chain, trying to grow right from manpower till the industries are up there, trying to become leaders. So the second part of the question that you asked as to what all or what good practices out there or what we are doing. So the incubator has been for more than 4-5 years now that we are there, impacted close to 100 odd startups till date, having funded close to 50-60 odd startups through different funding agencies that we have, inclusive of the venture funds that the state government has created to the tune of close to 30 crores or so that we would have funded. One of the challenges in the state government incubation mechanisms is what we have tried addressing to minimize gestation, and that is the e-governance, tried to put in. Now we have a charter of investment policy clear for equity investments, for debt investments, for incubation or whatever as to, so we have streamlined those aspects, trying to reduce the gestation. Thank you.
Thanks. Veeranna, please.
I'm Dr. Veeranna, currently heading the one of the standalone incubation center, which is supportive from Government of Karnataka, Bangalore Bioinnovation Center, which is situated in Electronic City Phase 1. So we have a state-of-the-art central instrumentation facility. That is our core facility, which is enabled for all the startups. And I'm confidently telling, it is 100% full. We are running a physical incubation with a different incubation suites kind of thing. In addition to the infrastructure, we are providing a physical incubation starting from bench space, 200 square feet small suites, and also bigger suites, depending on the team strength of the startup. And we have a very good mentor pool, and also we have adjacent within a conducive ecosystem, IBAB as well as CHE. They are focusing on the different bioinformatics as well as rare genetic disorders. And also we are housed adjacent to the big companies like Syngene, Biocon, Novozymes. This is our plus point. Okay, regarding to your second question, in addition to the infrastructure, the government of Karnataka is supporting, I think Taslim Arabji is again a Vision Group member. Government of Karnataka is making the biotech policy of 4, which is again much more helpful for the startups, upliftment. Not only providing the funding, because infrastructure plays a very important role. Second point is the funding, and that too, in time getting the funding is a more challenging with respect to the startup. Because no doubt, startups is having a more technical talent, but if they are not getting a funding in time, again gap is going to create. So that's how, as an incubator, we are placing a major role in connecting the startup requirement with the Government of Karnataka and facilitating the fund initiation, fund mobilization in time, such that startup can smoothly enable their journey. And also encouraging the collaborative activities, because startups, as I said, they cannot create their own facility. They have to dependent on to the infrastructure wherever it is available. We have as a standalone state-of-the-art central facility, we do have some lacuna, like for example, food and nutrition. We are majorly focusing on healthcare, biopharma, environmental biotechnology, and industrial biotechnology. Small segment of food and nutrition also. But nowadays, after the COVID impact, a lot more startups, they were turning towards food and nutrition, where biosimilars are coming into the picture. Alternative proteins tackling is a major thing. So these facilities, as a state incubation, we are requesting government to fund and to make as a scale-up facilities. That is a challenging. That we are coordinating with the government of Karnataka to facilitate and to create a more infrastructure which will be useful for the startup. And now, I think morning also we discussed, BioTech is making a program of biofoundry, and we are also in the verge of to get that biofoundry such that more scalability, the infrastructure can be created, which will be useful for that entrepreneurship journey, such that we can minimize the gap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Virana. I mean, having said that, each incubator having their own unique ways of dealing this ecosystem by being part of the ecosystem. I mean, one question to Balram, the COVID times or even before, the tech transfers like the way CCAM, SIGN and others having, along with that, you have fantastic clinical validation facility and also certification, the guidance that you have done for several products at TriMed. What is that you have seen before, about 3-4 years before and now, that whether we could be able to reduce the journey of a startup towards productization or at least maybe certifications or commercialization. So can you please throw some light, how did you actually minimize that gestation period, and what are those measures that you have adapted? Please.
Okay. So we always see startups, people with bright ideas trying to solve the healthcare needs, and they always come with enthusiasm and with a belief that they would be able to solve this problem and come out with a product in a couple of years. So they come with a heart full of confidence, but our brain tells them, with experience, tells that it is not that easy, and the time what they have projected is really may not be realistic. But we don't try to dampen their spirit. We know that they have the power of creativity, but we give them the guidance. So typically what they need is a few things which is specific to our sector, and we try to plug those gaps. To give some examples, one of the need for a startup would be access to standards. So standards are expensive and it may not be possible for them to procure those standards. So what we do is our institution may have those standards in our library, so we share it with them. The most important factor is the rigorous testing. So access to testing facilities is something which they all look forward to. And fortunately for us, our institute has been having an accredited testing services for over 2 decades. Very specialized testing services for the biocompatibility evaluation as per international standards. So we provide access to these startups on a reduced charges. Then another very critical thing is in the path for commercialization is to have a GMP facility, because all these medical devices, they need to go through regulatory approvals. So even to test a device, they need to make a product which is clinically usable. The product that they test should not be any inferior than what is the actual product. So where are they going to make it? So they obviously cannot invest in a plant to make this. So we have a small pilot manufacturing facility, a pilot plant, validated clean room facility, which they can hire at a very subsidized cost to manufacture devices which can be used for testing. And of course, we also guide them in regulatory processes. Then one of the greatest advantage that we have is the clinicians connect, because any medical device needs validation and inputs, very close closely from the clinical community. So that is something which we provide very seriously. And apart from that, of course, funding is also an important issue. So we have tried to garner all the funding schemes right from ideation stage, like the Nidhi Prayas scheme, following it up with the BIG scheme, going forward with SIBRI scheme for the clinical trials. Then we have the Nidhi seed support scheme for further scale up commercialization. So to the best of what is available, we have tried to creatively put in all those things. And I believe that the efforts that we have put is actually showing results. And specifically after the COVID, things have definitely speeded. As recently the grant of patents has become very fast, and startups especially get their patents granted in a year's time. And even the regulatory agencies have become very adaptive and very supportive to the startups. I believe all this is an effect of COVID, where the importance of speed has become
Yes.
paramount.
Yeah, I think having those resources in place and just setting up the practices in place, I think that's one good key. Thank you so much, Dr. Pal. I think I can ask Dr. Anand. Uh, Ahmedabad, the cluster, complete Gujarat, the manufacturing is having so much of history. Uh, Most of the medtech, for example, even the implants, hip joints or knee joints, whatever. I think, that is one way we have a greatest stories out there. But considering these deep technologies like biotechnology per se, the Savli in and around that, of course, Baroda again, Anand area, for example, what kind of supporting mechanisms that are really speeding, the maturity of this product, biotechnological product. So please, can you throw some light on that?
Yeah. So thank you for the question. And in fact, the first component that you mentioned, Ahmedabad or Gujarat and entrepreneurship. So dhanda, as they say, it's into their blood. And yes, manufacturing per se, yes, it's one of their fortes. But then when it comes to tech-driven or knowledge-driven areas, this is where they need support. So while finance possibly is not one of the most important concerns for them very often, but then so across the value chain, in especially these kind of tech-driven areas, right from idea till POC and then trials, approvals, etc., we have tried addressing through different programs or through different means to reduce the gestation period. So what have we done for ideation and so on? So we have created an idea doodle lab wherein you can, we believe a lot of, or the richest place per se is a, is a crematorium. People take their ideas, die, they don't try it out. So here we have an idea doodle lab free of cost. Come try out, free of cost, walk into an incubator, try out your ideas, go out. Okay. So one thing, then biotechnopreneur program. Now this biotechnopreneur is a word mark of the state government of Gujarat, which shows its resolve to develop biotech entrepreneurship. And we do this capacity building programs for entrepreneurship wanting to get into, and we have the 6th batch right now in collaboration with EDII operating a real hands-on one, and we have a good success rate out of this batch. So towards ideation, these are the activities. Towards POC, as Dr. Balram mentioned, we have clean rooms, we have 100-liter pilot bioreactors and so on. Lots of other facilities where they can try out reduced gestation. Testing trials, approvals, we help them with government connects, we help them connect with agriculture department and their fields and take up field trials there or clinical trials with the hospitals, government hospitals and other government connects, FDCA approvals or whatever, market penetration through GEM. But then especially, you mentioned about med devices, implants and so on. So now we have, while we are looking for other facilities. But what we have already done is create this ISO 13485 certified, area where you can come and do your test, assembly and then take up a test license and so on. Or a biofabrication DH room where you can come with your science and go out with a kit, maybe microfluidics, maybe anything else, or 3D bioprinting, you can come and do that. So this is how across the value chain we have tried to address, apart from the other regular funding clinic, IP clinics and other aspects.
Great, great. Thank you so much. I mean, of course, next two speakers, both are from Bangalore, but local as well as global connection. So maybe I can actually throw a question to Veeranna first, because Taslim, you would be the covering batsman for entire Karnataka along with the BBC, I know, but let me just get on to Veeranna. Veeranna, actually, I heard, sorry, pardon me that I didn't visit BBC yet, but in Bangalore, some of your startups incubate with Hyderabad incubators also to sharing the resources. I think this kind of sharing resources is one success factor. One startup raised $1.3 million, for example. So what ways BBC, other than the infrastructure, how they'll be mitigating these kind of risk factors, and what do you actually suggest to the budding biotech incubators here to minimize this gestation period to succeed them? Of course, fast failure is good, everybody is telling, but still you have to have some pace. But please advise on that, please.
So as I already mentioned, see, infrastructure plays a very important role. Apart from the infrastructure, because innovator, they will be having a well-versed knowledge and their idea how to take it to the next level. But to take that idea to the next level, infrastructure plays a very important role, and funding also. That both of them we are taking care in a proper way.
Yes.
But next is the challenge, where idea, because as an entrepreneurship journey, idea to come out as the product, there are many phases are there. Minimum viable product, market reaching, and making to the commercialization. So all these things, as an incubation center, we can extend some part, but not as a whole thing. So in that journey, so BBC is catering to the needs of infrastructure, mentorship, and handholding them in the market entry, and also the funding, which is facilitated through Government of Karnataka as well as central government funding. But innovator has to come out with that barrier that they have to collaboration motivated. They have to see the collaboration, then only they can minimize the gap. That is one thing. And majorly innovator, they'll come out as a product, but they'll fail in the regulatory clearances. So that, I think in this platform, I'll request that if the state government or central government, if they come up with some policies which can minimize or speed up or expedite these the clinical or regulatory clearances, then it will be helpful for the startups.
No, excellent. I think this is where recently DCJ, when he visited, and even the local CDSCO people, I think there is no single window mechanism.
Yes.
That is troubling. At least, I mean, I urge BioTech people also, the way I think Venture Center is doing regulatory center, regional center probably. But whether you need certain regulations required or not, you may need only 4 certifications. You don't need 7. But the agencies which regulate, they want to do everything because they are getting some money cut from the grants or whatever. Anyway, so thanks for that point. Taslim, fantastic job in the pandemic times, but still that's going on. The index program and such kind of unique initiatives, the Center of Excellence thing that you get it from the support of the Rockefeller Foundation, where the chemistry, the biology, and other relevant streams are working together. So with this kind of global perspectives at CCAM. So please advise the audience on how to actually reduce these gaps that we have in commercializing the biotechnology, core biotechnology, including the emerging technologies, please.
Sure. No, thank you, Ramji. So I think I don't think I can advise. I can share what we have done, what learnings are. But let's break down what you're asking. You're asking that how do we in biotech, how do we reduce the gestation so they can reach their targets faster, earlier, which is important for them. So let's put the analogy, Ramji, on this of somebody who is running on a treadmill. What do you need? If you want to go faster on the treadmill, what do you need? A, you need constant supply of electricity. That is your fuel. The second, you need your belt, which is moving, doesn't have hindrances. And then the rest is you who has to run fast,
Yes, yes.
right? So now you are saying there's a path, there is a supply, and somebody who's moving. So now that's the coordination that actually as an ecosystem enabler, you have to ensure that you have to work on the supply, you have to work on the belt, so there is nothing that actually gets on the belt, and then you have to work on the runner as well, so that they actually run faster by understanding what are the situations, what are the demand, what they can do at what time. Not always go on 7 kilometers per hour. You can go 10 kilometers per hour, 20 kilometers per hour. Slow down a bit, then you go fast. There's a lot that happens.
Yes.
The index program that you talked about, and happy to share with it. I think just to share with your friends who are here, in around the program that Ramji talks about is in April 2020, when the country went into lockdown, one of the largest challenges we had was that we did not have enough diagnostic testing kits to test the entire large population, at large. And testing was at the cornerstone of, fighting the pandemic, because unless you test, you do not know the spread. Unless you test, you do not know the severity. There is nothing you can do much to prevent the pandemic spread if you don't test well. And we were calling Thermos of the world, we were calling Abbots of the world and pleading them, give us 5 lakhs tests per month. Please move one aircraft so we can do that. We found that we didn't have indigenously built capacity for developing diagnostics for COVID or in general for infectious disease at large in the early stages. And at that level, under the guidance of PSA as well as support from DBT Dr. Swaroop especially and Kiran, we built a program which we call as an index, that is indigenization of diagnostics. And what did we do? We thought that other companies in India which are in the proximity or vicinity of such things where they can develop reagents and kits at large. And when we quickly scanned, we found that there were several, almost 250 companies which were in the diagnostic business. But why did they not have the kit at that time in April or May 2020? The reason we found is two. We found that, and this is where the gap finding is very important. We found that the reagents they were building were not necessarily at the highest quality, which diagnostic approvers can approve. Second, they didn't have ability to scale at that level. So they could only build a little, but they didn't have ability to scale when the demand has been. So with the support of Rockefeller Foundation, which I would submit, phenomenally resourceful program, where the CCMB, IIC was a collaborator, we built a program where we said, how can we help now these 250 companies across India, not with funding, but improving the reagent quality and the scalability. Yes. So what we built was a hub and spoke model. So we collaborated with already available infrastructure and expertise in ICER Pune for chemistry, in IISc for biology, in AIC CCMB for LFA and other things, antibody antigen reagents, and many other places. So anybody who says, I have something that I want to improve on, develop further and build a kit, they would come here. Then we can give it to different COEs. They would improve the quality. It comes back, you replace the reagent one by one and build the final kit. Fast forward, within a year, we worked with almost 200 companies on this. We have 250 companies on the platform. TCS supported the digital platform for it for free for us during the COVID time. Now, we built, actually with this funding, with the entire approach, the capacity in India within a year became 1 million RT-PCR per test per day. Wow. kept manufacturing, which
amazing.
was a dream, crazy dream at that time.
Yes, yes.
And that was a fantastic thing of collaborating with the larger capacity rather than rebuilding capacity in your own backyard.
Yes.
Because capacity was already available. The expertise was already available in ICER, the ISC, the
Yes.
CCMBs of the world and other places. How do you actually identify what can it help? Build models.
Yes,
So you
yes.
can fast forward. Now, not only build the accessibility, the kit which or the test which was 4,500 to you and me on that day, today is 200 rupees and world's most effective RT-PCR COVID in the world right now, that is 200 rupees. That 20 times drop, that is 95% drop, was possible because we built this indigenously.
Wonderful.
And that's a great example. And on that now, Rockefeller Foundation has come, Gates Foundation
Gates
has come
Foundation
again, and FIND has come to build as a second phase,
Yes.
where we're taking 5 more infectious diseases and taking them for indigenous reagent development so that accessibility and the reagents development can happen and the entire ecosystem will be built.
Yes.
So we are positioned as a national diagnostic catapult, and I think we are very, very grateful to the partners like yours and others who actually have supported that and the guidance of the Office of PSA and the funding procedures. But that was one of the models that I wanted to share.
Amazing. I think these kind of models are very much important to adopt. I think these partnerships are open to any of the incubators. You know, when we talk about the bio and biotechnology, of course, now it is a mixture of all other tech interventions into bio as well, so that we can actually reduce that gap, reduce that gestation period. So I think as we close the questions, but one-liner from each of you. What is the great thought that you would like to share to the audience to become the best bio incubators to minimize this gestation period? Please, Viranna.
So I think I already mentioned the
Then you have to say something else. So please, go ahead. Please, please.
See, government can fund the funding in a different stages as a early stage, the grant. So startups can avail the thing. Similarly, there are a lot more series of funding. In addition to these funding, startups has to build the confidence such that they can get the funding from the public. Then it will be easy for them because they have to build the confidence on them. How their innovation are going to create a impact in the society. Yes. Then obviously the private funding they are interested to fund in the startup. That's how that confident we have to build up.
This is a very important point, but there should be a separate session on this. Matchmaking between the government funding and the private funding, a lot of gaps, and incubators are becoming the mediators to bring confidence to the government as well as the investors. Thanks. Dr. Anand, please.
Yeah, so one last point that I would like to make, and it is in concurrence to this, to the bio incubators here. Certainly it is an exciting time, especially in the bio space, where now you have investors, private investors as well, developing or being sensitized because of the COVID and stuff to the potential of biotech. They understand that yes, the risks are high, but then the gains are high too. So empathy, especially for the bio incubators to get into the shoes of startups, help them, let them sustain a little longer through this curve, and I'm sure that they will be able to, make it big. Thank you.
Thanks, Taslim.
Again, I think something that I share with my colleagues, I will share with all. I think, believe that journey is yours and it is not theirs.
Yeah.
I think the day where you get, where you start believing that the journey and the cause is combined,
Yes.
the journey and cause is together, I think that way it will become not the work, and that's a very important thing for us to build a very capable ecosystem which is actually calling itself enabling. So that's very important.
Superb, Taslim. Thanks. Balram?
I was just thinking when you said some creative solutions. So what I thought is funding for life sciences section. Life sciences must have life. It must be dynamic. It should not end abruptly like we do.
Totally agree.
Sometimes some clinicians come to us with what we call BHAG goals, no? Big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yes.
Somebody wants to make a total new artificial heart. So nothing can be more ambitious than that. It is something affecting us all.
Right.
But to develop that, you cannot have conventional funding mechanisms. So how do we support that? So there has to be a separate
Yes.
life-like funding schemes for life-like projects.
Great. Thank you so much, and big round of applause to all the eminent panelists today. Thank you so much for your patience.